this is going to be big deal for me personally. I just cannot fucking wait to see what they have in store for Batman. And DC is actually going to take control of this. I think that was the big thing that they didn't do with the Zack Snyderverse was they didn't have any Robins. I don't think there's ever been a successful Robin story, even in the new Batman as well. Robin is a critical aspect to DC that people are overlooking. Robin is like Spider-Man of the DC. Except there's 4 different versions of them, and they all have different stories and different outcomes. So, I mean, it's really one of the most interesting things. The Bat family is so deep. They have a deep bag, and I think they need to capitalize on that.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. They're still filming the Clayface movie, and there's been a ton of new Easter eggs for the new Batman of the DCU, the Dick Grayson Robin, the new DCU Joker, the new Penguin, Zatanna, and a ton of new DCU lore and characters, and people thinking that they have spotted a connection between Robert Pattinson's Batman and the DCU. I've gotten a ton of requests to do videos about these, especially about the Batman stuff, because it's starting to seem like the movie might wind up being a prequel based on some of the footage and the context. I know there's been a ton of talk about James Gunn introducing many of the Robins by Batman Brave and the Bold, which will be set in present day. He never outright said they'd be doing prequel movies, but a good example during the DCEU Justice League era were the Wonder Woman movies. They were both technically prequels to explain the origin for her character, so we'll break all these down, all these Easter eggs. James Gunn did say that the Clayface movie will be the origin story of the Matt Hagen version of the character, and Clayface seemingly died in the present day of Creature Commandos, or at least we think that he's dead, and James Gunn wrote all those episodes. So it makes sense that this live-action Clayface that we're seeing is a prequel, especially if it's his origin story. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. And a really big shout out to Twitter user Eggboy and all the other people on social media that are capturing all this stuff while they're filming on set. Most of this brand new footage comes from scenes that they're filming at Amusement Mile, so we're talking a lot of Joker Easter eggs too for DCU Joker. In real life, they're using Liverpool to actually film a lot of these scenes, not just Amusement Mile, but around their version of DCU Gotham, which is actually the same place that Matt Reeves filmed the Batman movies, and he will film the Batman too. Probably the biggest thing people were going crazy about the last couple of days was the big Batman reference. While they were filming Amusement Mile scenes in the background, people spotted this trash bin, noticed there's a sign about keeping Gotham clean, no big surprise there, but next to it is what looks like a sticker with the Batman logo. Normally would just be a really cool reference, like, oh hey, Batman logo, awesome, it's meant to be a Batman connected movie, this is Gotham, it's Amusement Mile, of course there'd be Batman symbols around the place. But if you didn't immediately recognize it, the thing that was driving people crazy is that it's actually the Robert Pattinson's Batman logo. So everyone started taking this to be confirmation that Robert Pattinson secretly would be the Batman of the DCU, and Pattinson Matt Reeves' universe was connected to the DCU.
The city streets are crowded for the holiday.
This is also when all the Morbius jokes started, so people started making references to the movie going full Morbius. As you remember, famously now, Sony put a ton of different Spider-Man references and Easter eggs in the Morbius trailers for Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and Andrew Garfield's Amazing Spider-Man, to the point that all the Easter eggs themselves kind of didn't make sense the way Sony was throwing them together, presenting them. Then when the Morbius movie actually came out in theaters, we saw that Sony had removed all the Spider-Man related Easter eggs or references, with exception to the post-credit scene. So people started wondering if they were doing the same thing with the Clayface movie in Robert Pattinson's Batman. When I first saw this, I actually just assumed that it was some random person slapping a Batman sticker on it, and it's not meant to be part of the official set decoration, and it's not something that they planned to be in the movie, and they'll just remove this logo in post-production or change it to a DCU Batman logo when the movie actually comes out. Basically, the idea, it's not something that they did on purpose. They're not trying to connect Robert Pattinson's Batman to the DCU.
I don't think, in my opinion, I do want Robert Pattinson's Batman to connect, but I also don't, because the reality is he's the younger Batman, and it's sort of like an origin of him. They couldn't really make a big film about his origin story like that and then build up to basically a whole nother version of him. It just wouldn't make sense, and I don't even think they would be able to put him in there. It wouldn't fit. Of course, this is the younger version to them, so who knows, but Batman, I think, in Brave and Bold is going to be set in his mid-30s, you know. He's going to be a grown adult, and he's going to have Robins on his side, you know, like Nightwing. He's going to probably have, I think they already said he was going to have Red Hood, and Damian Wade's going to be his current Robin, which if that is the way it is going to be, that is going to be insane. Because that leaves the question of what is happening to Jason Todd. And Jason Todd is Red Hood, so I'm thinking, is Red Hood going to pop up? Because that would be crazy. If Red Hood pops up, then, like, wow, that's insane. Like, Red Hood in live action movie, like, high quality, like, that's just going to be mind-blowing. I've always thought Red Hood's one of my favorite characters of all time in the DCU anyway, with Clayface. So, you know, I've always been interested by what they're going to do with his character. I think Nightwing, though, and Damian Wade are obvious. Is like, you have to have, you know, Nightwing be there. And, you know, the origin story of them is sort of mixed up. There's too many things going on. So, I mean, if they throw that in there, that's great. You know, they can't go deeper down. They can't go to Tim Drake. I don't think they should either. Tim Drake is just too down there. It's like when the dude's like in his fucking 60s and 50s and stuff. So, you know, but Batman though should be in his middle age area. I think Robert Pattinson's, I think he's in his 20s. That's how it's set. He's like in his early 20s probably. He's not ready to be a superhero.
Right after this footage started circulating on social media, James Gunn officially commented on it, confirming my theory, reacting by saying, although the trash can is from set, I have a hard time believing that the bat was put there by the art department, but if so, it never came across my desk. I don't have time to okay every piece of set dressing. What he's basically saying is that the people who actually work on the movie and would be responsible for this actually had nothing to do with it, but also kind of leaves himself an out, saying there's like a 1% chance maybe they did this, but probably not. Like, don't hold your breath. The closest we've gotten to actually seeing the DCU Batman logo is in Creature Commandos. James Gunn confirmed that that is the canon DCU Batman in one of his suits. It's not what his suit is going to look like during Batman Brave and the Bold, because in all the Batman movies, every era of Batman, he always gets a new suit each time, so it will have evolved by the time we see him in live action. This Clayface movie probably meant to be a prequel because of the context of the Robin footage, so Batman's suit during the events of the Clayface movie would be way more primitive. There was also a Wayne Terminus Easter egg that people spotted on set on the maps of DCU Gotham. Wayne Terminus is also where the Matt Reeves Robert Pattinson Batcave is located. It's meant to be a subway station that the Wayne family built long ago, then became defunct, and Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne just eventually turned into the Batcave because it was still connected to all the subway tunnels around Gotham.
That is cool.
Based on what James Gunn is saying, I think it's also just more of a coincidence that there is a Wayne Terminus station in the DCU and also in the Robert Pattinson Batman universe.
You are El Rata Elada.
At least right now, I'm not taking this to be any further confirmation of any kind of crossover. Here's where we get to the next big thing, the Robin footage. This is actually of the Flying Graysons who are performing at Amusement Mile where they're filming all this footage. Like, this is where people are capturing all these Easter eggs. This poster makes it seem like they probably have not died in their accident yet, so Dick Grayson has not yet been taken in by Bruce Wayne Batman and has not taken the mantle of the first Robin yet. Kind of gives you an idea for how long ago in the timeline this movie will take place.
Yeah, that is interesting.
In present day, based on what James Gunn has said about Batman Brave and the Bold, unless something has changed since he initially started planning the movie, Damian Wayne is supposed to be the current Robin. Dick Grayson would have already become Nightwing long ago because Batman would have already also been through Tim Drake Robin and Jason Todd Robin. Speaking of Jason Todd, Dick Grayson...
Am I wrong? I thought Tim Drake was after Damian Wade. I know Jason Todd's right after Nightwing, but I always thought Damian Wade was the third one.
Planning the movie, Damian Wayne, what James Gunn has said about Batman Brave and the Bold, unless something has changed since he initially started planning the movie, Damian Wayne is supposed to be the current Robin. Dick Grayson would have already become Nightwing long ago because Batman would have already also been through Tim Drake Robin and Jason Todd Robin. Speaking of Jason Todd and Red Hood, there are more Joker references also in these new Amusement Mile scenes. There's Joker's Rule graffiti, again, which we also saw in other Easter eggs, next to Ghost Dragon's Easter eggs, which are a gang in the comics. There's also a reference to the DCU Penguin, calling him the Penguin Man, making it sound like he's part of the circus entertainment, like he's an attraction, along with the Flying Graysons, like it's the same circus that they're all part of. Which would actually give the DCU Penguin a very different origin story than the Matt Reeves Colin Farrell Penguin. In the Matt Reeves Batman movies, he explained that the Penguin is just a derogatory term that people use to make fun of Oswald Cobb because of his physical deformities. He's already significantly changed his version of the Penguin's backstory, so in the Reeves verse, his last name is Cobb, not Cobblepot, because he doesn't come from a wealthy family like comic book Penguin. We also saw that there's an iceberg lounge on the map of DCU Gotham during Clayface 2. Next big Easter egg is footage of Zatanna. So this is Club Vesuvius, which she performs at regularly in the comics. So it just sounds like they're doing more world building for her or her father Zatara, because they could also say that she's much younger during the events of this movie if it is a prequel. So they can just cast a younger actress for Zatanna in present day DCU.
How are you, Bruce?
I'm fine, Zatanna.
James Gunn already introduced DCU Cersei during Creature Commandos, so magic is already a big deal in the DCU. We just didn't see a ton of magic-related stuff during the Superman movie. Superman is canonically weak to magic, like he just has a trouble fighting magic, so it wouldn't be surprised if they address that in some future movie. Probably not Man of Tomorrow, just because that's more of a Lex Luthor-Superman team-up movie against Brainiac.
Yeah. Seeing Brainiac in live action would completely break. I think that's the reason why Superman honestly might be the better Superman. I think that's the reason why this DC is actually going to be perfect, this DC universe, is because they're actually encapsulating on what the comics are and what the game has always been. When you play Lego Batman, when you play Arkham Knight, when you ever play all the Arkham trilogy, you know, any of the games, you watch any of the comic books, playing just anything, it always comes back to the real characters. And they don't put those up in the Snyderverse. They didn't put them up in any of the other verses either. And that was one of the biggest downfalls for that, was they never mentioned Brainiac. They never had Brainiac. Lex Luthor wasn't even Lex Luthor. He was just Mark Zuckerberg and with hair or whatever. And I've been watching a lot of that, was it the Social, that movie with Mark Zuckerberg and Andrew Garfield. And then, but yeah, I mean, they never actually encapsulated even Lex Luthor successfully, and they did that. And even though Lex Luthor was a good actor, I think that was a good actor for Lex Luthor, I do think Lex Luthor by next film should be ripped. In my opinion, Lex Luthor is supposed to be basically Superman's, arch enemy in a way where it's sort of, it fits the role where he is, when they look each other in the mirror, if Superman didn't have powers, they both have the same stature. You know, they're both tall and they're strong. And, they have this sort of force to them. But Superman has superpowers. Lex Luthor was rich as fuck. But I think they did that successfully, and if they put Brainiac in the next film, oh my God, they just literally made the DC universe just completely, like, it's just there. It's perfect. And I think a lot of people are going to still hate on DC, but it's like, get the fuck out of here, bro. They were able to successfully encapsulate Lex Luthor, Guy Gardner, Mr. Terrific, Hawkgirl, and they put Superman in there as well. They put the whole situation in there to make it perfect. And for them to put Clayface in his own movie, I mean, that just blew my mind. I'm still, like, mind blown when I heard about that. I was like, they're making a Clayface movie? Like, Clayface was like a C-list, B-list Batman villain. You know, like, there's so many other villains they could have made a movie for, and they did it for Clayface. And even then, it's like, they're making a villain movie? Like, they're treating it like Venom, and it's, like, perfect. I mean, he's like one of those villains that people sort of overlook. You know, like Clayface is there. You know, they have Penguin, Catwoman, Riddler, Joker, Mr. Freeze, Poison Ivy, and there's Two-Face, like, oh my God, Killer Croc. And there's even more that I'm not even mentioning that I can't even think of off the top of my tongue. But there's a lot of villains that they don't even talk about. And they're big villains, like really big villains. They could have their own movies, their own trilogy movies, everything. And for them to encapsulate on Clayface is just beautiful. It's just like, yep, they did it. But I honestly do want to see what happens with Man of Tomorrow. By the time Doomsday comes out, and we'll see what happens with Marvel, because honestly, Fantastic Four is definitely a tricky situation for them because it is a good movie. I'm not going to lie. I haven't watched it at all, so I don't know why I'm saying it's a good movie, but I know it's a good movie. I've heard really good reviews on it. It's just that it didn't sell good, and it didn't do better than Superman. And it sort of leaves me with the question if, whatever happens next for Marvel has to work, and it has to stay there. With the DCU, though, they don't have anything to lose. I mean, they're starting from scratch, and I think they're making the right steps into the the future, because they have so many movies. They can have so many movies just planned out, and they'll all be good movies. And by the time Doomsday comes out, DC will already have almost the whole Chapter 1 in the door. Like, they'll have their whole Chapter 1 foot in the door with Superman, Clayface, Superman 2, Supergirl, I don't know, Swamp Thing, and the Lanterns movie. I don't even know if there is a Lanterns movie. I have not heard about it at all. I don't know if it's a TV show. I have no idea. I hope it's a movie though, because that would be cool as fuck. And then maybe even Batman Brave and the Bold, which will probably be 2028, because that would just make sense, because Batman Part 2 is coming out in 2027. Yeah, don't drop that in 2027. That would fuck it up. Don't even drop it in 2026. Wait till 2028. And then Robert Pattinson's out of here. Batman Part 2 is just done. That's the origin. It's over. But, you know, by the time Doomsday comes out, they'll basically have almost a whole foot in the door in Chapter 1. And you have to see how much success it brought them. There's only 2 other movies that are going to come out that I actually do think will do good, which is Superman, Man of Tomorrow, and Supergirl. I do think Supergirl probably will do good. I don't think it will do the best. But Clayface, I definitely don't think will be a box office hit. And I will love the movie, though. I think Clayface will be one of those movies where it will just be a fucking good movie. It just won't have... And that's for real fans. That's like some diehard fans. That's like your favorite artist making an album just for the fans, not for the mainstream. That's what it feels like right now when they drop Clayface, because that's like a real... If you like DC, you love DC, there you go, right there. There's a Clayface movie, hard edit Clayface movie, and that's just so beautiful to me. It's like, damn, they really do care.
I already talked about the Black Mask, the Black Canary Easter eggs, seeming like they're setting up those characters for the DCU. There's also the Roger Elliott Easter egg, who is the father of Thomas Elliott Hush, so it also seems like they're setting up DCU Hush eventually. There was some talk about Matt Reeves doing a version of Hush at some point in his movies because of the Easter eggs in the first Batman movie. There was a bunch of new footage of Matt Hagen with Naomi Ackie's character at Amusement Mile sharing time together. Twitter user Eggboy and other people were saying that they were kissing. There's footage of them at a diner as well, too. So it seems like they have some kind of relationship on the DL. She's also supposed to be the doctor who performs the procedure, turning him into a metahuman. There's other footage of him here, too, at an in-universe movie premiere, because remember, Matt Hagen is an actor in-universe.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason why he wants to heal his face, so that he can be an actor again. The actual in-universe movie that he's attending is The Light Between. You can let me know if you think that's a reference to something. The Light were used on Young Justice, but I don't think it's a reference to that version of the Light organization. Notice you see him rushing away from the theater, holding his face, implying this is right after he becomes a metahuman, and he's not able to hold his shape long enough, and it just starts to break down. James Gunn said the movie is meant to be an R-rated body horror film, like think traditional horror film, partially inspired by the Batman animated series episode Feet of Clay.
Yes, this was this was what got me into Clayface. This whole entire episode, and I think there was more episodes too, but this episode was just, oh my gosh. I don't know if I have it still on DVD. I don't know. I have a lot of DVDs. They're probably laying around over here somewhere. I have to find them. One of the most goated episode series I've ever watched in my life as a kid. So dark, so just sad. And it was just such a surreal, like, it was a horror movie. Like, to me, when I was a kid watching this, I was like, it was just so dark. And it really made me look at Clayface as like a whole surreal, like, it was just, it came out as something that was different. Like, it wasn't the Batman versus Robin, I mean, Batman versus Joker and Riddler, you know, and it was just like Clayface is, that's a horror movie. Like, that's not, like, that's some dark shit. But yeah, this is a definitely, if this is based on this, oh my God.
By the Batman animated series episode Feet of Clay. So imagine him breaking down the same way that Matt Hagen did, unable to hold his shape in the same way. There's a lot going on during all of these new scenes and Easter eggs. Like, this seems like there's a lot of world building going on here for really big Batman characters, in addition to Batman himself. But like, we have Robins, there's other Batman villains that they're setting up in the background, other hero characters for the DCU. So if there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted in the brand new scenes that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments. Generally, the way that James Gunn has talked about the new DCU Batman is that he doesn't plan on introducing an actor until he's ready for Batman Brave and the Bold. Like, he won't cameo in a bunch of other movies before Batman Brave and the Bold. So what that means is that in the other upcoming movies, we'll just see more Easter eggs like we did in Creature Commandos in the Superman movie with him in the background. You'll see him in the shadows, but you won't actually see an actor's face yet.
This is the DCU Batman. And we're gonna do great things with him. He's the most popular superhero in the world, and I can't wait for people.
That's a strong statement, but it is true. Batman is probably the most popular Superman to ever exist in the world. Batman definitely is. I think Superman and Spider-Man are tied, and Spider-Man more recently has been up, but it is definitely near a tie. But Batman is definitely the most popular superhero. I think the reason why Spider-Man is up there as well is not even just for, you know, the movies, but the fact that they have successful games for Spider-Man, multiverses for Spider-Man. Spider-Man is definitely a culture icon. Not culture icon, but, you know, like for the culture of superheroes and everything, he's definitely an icon. But after those three, it definitely gets like, who's the fourth one? Because it is very close. I'm not going to lie. Iron Man was not as big before the MCU brought him up. He definitely was big. Captain America wasn't that big. Thor wasn't that big. Hulk was probably Hulk, Wonder Woman, Flash, and I wouldn't say Aquaman. Aquaman's sort of a weird one. Like, he was good, but he wasn't that. Aquaman is like Thor. It was definitely known. And maybe Captain America, maybe. You know, Black Widow and Hawkeye and Cyborg and Martian Manhunter are sort of like the background, you know, where it's like, like they're big, but they're not that big.
To see more of him, along with Superman, and together.
Right now, my conspiracy theory is that James Gunn isn't lying and they don't plan on bringing Robert Pattinson into the
Yeah, I hope they
DCU
don't.
right now.
don't
But
hope-
that just means right now, meaning anything could change in the future. We're in the middle of Peacemaker Season 2 episodes that's heavily connected to Superman and the Man of Tomorrow movie and other DCU movies, so I'll do more Easter egg videos for that in my episode videos week to week. Next real big DCU movie is going to be the Supergirl movie. We'll probably get a trailer for that in the next couple of months. Cannot wait to see Jason Momoa's Lobo. He is going to wreck in the DCU. It's going to be fun. Everybody click here for my new Avengers Doomsday Doctor Doom first look video, and click here for all
That's cool. That's cool.